Hello and welcome. I'm Emerald Mosaic and it's time to paint. So this is my second try at this. Thankfully I had not really gotten started. My cat interrupted me and I had to get her down. She wants to cuddle and I'm painting, so she's gonna have to wait. Anyway, I'm gonna do a strainer pour painting today. You might have seen elsewhere colander pours or sink strainer pours. Those are usually done with the bowl facing up. And that makes a really beautiful design all on its own. I'm going to do it with this facing down. Now this is just a strainer from Dollar Tree, cost $1.25. Nice and cheap. Don't care if I ruin it with paint. I have done a strainer pour with this previously, and this is what it looks like. I did not do a video because my mom was here visiting and I was just showing her what it looks like. I was just using old paint, and apparently a little bit of ash from the oven got onto the painting, but you know, I mean, it's still pretty. Anyway, what I did this time is after I got the paint onto the canvas, I spun it out with my spinner, and that's why it kind of looks like comets, and it's a really pretty look. I'm going to do it differently today though. Instead of repeating that, I'm going to, no little girl, she still wants to come up. I'm just going to tilt the canvas. I'm also using a square instead of a rectangle, so it's going to show up a little bit different, but I'm really excited to do this and see how it turns out. And like I've watched both styles online and it's like, they're both beautiful. I couldn't say which one I like better. So also I'm going to use some of the drippings. I found these little bitty canvases at Dollar Tree the other day, and yes, each one still costs $1.25, the same as the bigger canvases, but they're cute. I figure that's a great way to use the drippings. These will be a lot cheaper for the people who live here to buy, or things that I would be more comfortable giving away. So I'm not in this to make money. I am already living on disability income, and I can't do this consistently enough to live off of anyway. So, all right, I'm going to start off with a little bit of white. It's not necessary. Where'd I leave my rag? There's my rag. Gotta have my rag. You don't have to start with white on this. You know, I better move this other painting out of the way before it gets any paint on it. That was lucky. I'm using Sax Titanium White that I have thinned with Floetrol and some water. So you don't have to start with white. I'm just going to because I want to. Pouring from this bottle is a little bit different than I'm used to. So some of this is going to go through the holes and some of this is going to go around the edges. All right, now I'm going to actually do my colors. The white is going to be in the lineup. So this is, I mixed cadmium red and light magenta and tropical blue. I was kind of going for a brick red. It ended up being more like a dark magenta, like almost like a mulberry color. It's still pretty, just wasn't exactly what I was going for. I probably would have been better to use a lighter blue-green, but I didn't have any mixed up. So sometimes you got to do with what you got. This is Champagne pre-mixed metallic pouring paint by Colorpur, which is out of business. You cannot find it anymore, which kind of sucks because they've got good paints that I really enjoy working with. This is not going to be all that evenly balanced, and you know what? That's okay. That's kind of what makes these paintings different. You don't get the totally even spread. This is DecoArt Ready-to-Pour Chartreuse. I wanted a bright color. This is a bright color. I was like, I'm very rarely going to use a yellow green. It's not my favorite color, but I needed something bright for contrast other than the white. This is Acrylology Violet, which I have thinned I think just with water. I didn't make a note on the label that I used any Floetrol, so I think it's just water. I like doing some with Floetrol and some just with water. Sometimes I do just a little bit of a couple drops of coconut oil, just to kind of change it up, because it's the differences in densities that helps you create cells. So I just realized, will that work? Will that hold that in place? It does. Haha. Some more white. Oof. I don't really like how it pours out of the bottle. I guess I just need to hold it upside down to get it to pour evenly. It is really hard to tell how much paint you have going into this when you can't see under the strainer that you're working with. But I would rather have too much paint than not enough paint, so I'm just gonna keep going for a bit. Like normally I measure it and calculate, you know, how many ounces of paint do I actually need, and I actually didn't even get around to doing that this time, so I'm gonna play it by ear and we'll see how good my instincts are, huh? Have fun, right? I'm doing this for fun anyway, right? I watched a series of videos. I haven't finished the entire series by Mixed Media Girl. If you haven't seen her channel, go check her out. I'll try to remember to put a link in the description. A little bit more. And so anyway, this particular series, she called it the Dollar Store series. And so she had people send her objects from Dollar Tree, and one of them was a strainer, this exact kind of strainer. And she did pour paintings over all of these various objects. Some of them are really odd. I'm not sure that I would want to do them. Others I'm like, I cannot wait to go back to Dollar Tree and see if I can't find that. Some of the items are Christmas items, and I'll have to wait until Christmas to get a star-shaped candy tray. It wasn't just like it was more like a snowflake shape. Really, really pretty. She did the painting in blues and white. Oh my God, it was gorgeous. So yeah, go check her out. I will again try to remember to put a link to Mixed Media Girl in the description. It's getting there. I like that I can see some puddles around here. Trying to see inside. And I don't think that's nearly enough for this size of canvas. I'm just going to keep going. At least one more round, and then I'll recheck where I'm at. I just love that, you know, some of this flows through the holes and some of it flows around the edges. I am noticing that I've got a lot more around here than I have over there. I'm going to turn this around and see if, is my table maybe tilted a lot? Did I not balance these evenly? I don't know. I have under the corners here of the canvas, I used push pins to raise it up, because you got to be able to catch your drips, you know. So I wonder if part of this is just that I'm right-handed and therefore I'm a little bit heavier handed on the right side. That could be part of it. I don't know, but we'll see. We shall see. That definitely might be a factor here. That's okay. I'll just be a little bit deliberately heavy-handed on the right side now. Just make sure you get a little bit over there. And see if I can't get a little bit more over here on this side. It's getting a little bit better. All right. Yeah, I'm definitely heavier handed on the right side. Good to know. Let me put a little bit extra over here. Oh, let me let that sit for just a moment. Trying to gauge the inside. And yeah, I'm going to do least one more. At least one more. I got to make sure I have enough paint on here. What I don't want to happen is to have so much paint on the inside that I lose all of this out on the outside, because it's the combination of the two that makes it so pretty. I'm kind of wishing that I had used more of like a light blue or even an aqua instead of the chartreuse. But then again, you know, once it's all said and done, that might end up turning out to be the absolute best color I could have used. Who knows? You know, we'll see. We shall see. Sometimes I second guess myself and my instincts were kind of correct all along. So the way colors interact once they blend, once you shift things around, can really surprise you. So it's good to keep that in mind. No matter what, this will be interesting. No matter what. I don't think it's going to muddy and turn into brown with the purple on top of it. That was an interesting little ring effect that ended up getting in there. I don't want to stop too soon. I don't want to flood it either. You know, another way that you could do this is measure out how, you know, measure the canvas, figure out how many ounces of paint you need, and just put it into a cup and do like a dirty pour over it. But I kind of like, I don't know, it's just more satisfying to do the clean pour like this. As you can see, the handle is in the paint, but once I lift that off, it'll just flow together. It'll be fine. And over here, you got this little hole in this part right here that the paint is flowing through the hole and making an interesting design. So, you know, we'll see what happens with it. It'll be interesting. I'm going to say one more, and that's going to have to do it. I don't want to overdo it, but I'm going to make this one a kind of big one. I'm just going to do a double, slightly double helping of each one. I'm kind of debating about ending on this pretty color that I made. Champagne, or I could end on champagne. What do you think? What color do you think would look best in the middle? It's a hard choice, isn't it? Not chartreuse. Definitely not chartreuse. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do the purple and just a little bit more of that red to end it off. Can I use it up? I think I'm pretty close to using it up. Oh yeah, look at that. Using it up. Look at that. Perfect. Well, that means there's probably at least 10 ounces on this canvas, because that was 2 ounces. So if I use 5 colors, that's probably 10 ounces on the canvas. That's all right. What needs to come off will come off. I'm going to wait just a little bit. I want the last little bit to drop through. Yeah, one of the next paintings I'm going to do, I've got this star-shaped cookie cutter. So what I'm planning to do is do light colors on one side and dark colors on the other side, and basically an open cup pour, but with the different colors schemes. See how it goes. It'll be interesting, you know. Experimenting is like half of the fun of doing pour paintings. I get to experiment all the time, and I just think that's fantastic. but an interesting little bit of white that apparently gathered in the little lip here, and so got this really cool little white drip over here, and there's one over here too, and there's a reddish one over here. Oh, I bet that's where it's seeping under. That's probably what's happening. It's coming from underneath. I'm willing to bet. This is look really cool right here. I love these little rivers. That's pretty. Very pretty. It's gonna be cool. Okay. Close these up and move them back a little bit. I like that little thing that can hold this little thing on the lid can hold the little tiny cap. I like that. Okay. So yeah, what I'm going to do with these, I'm just going to take some of the drippings from this. Where's my... Just going to use this, scrape up some paint, drizzle it on these. However many I can do, at least one or two. We'll see how many I get. I think that'll be really cute. So, all right. Are we ready? Are we ready for the big reveal? All right. Lift it up. Ooh. Oh, that's cool. That is pretty. Wow. So you just never know. All this purple on the outside is not even showing up on the inside. Wow. Who knew? Okay, I'm going to set this up here out of the way. That's gorgeous. Ooh, don't go too far. Always got to bring it back to the center. I'm going to try very hard not to lose those really pretty edges. I mean, I want that to go over the side, yes, but I'm trying not to let very much of that center go over the sides. Ooh, gotta go slow. Yeah, some of it is gonna go over on the sides, but I wanna try and save some of that, the edges for the corners. I don't know. I'm not sure if I can save that purple. I'm starting to see a little bit of the purple coming up from underneath in the middle, but not nearly as much as I'd like. This is beautiful though. This is just gorgeous. Look, that chartreuse, you know, for as much as I don't really like the color, that ended up blending perfectly with that, I don't know, mulberry, whatever you want to call it, that I mixed up. And it just looks beautiful. Okay, I gotta go slow. Back it up. Slow it down. Okay. Come on. Help it along just a little bit. Okay. Back it up. Help this out a little bit. A little bit more. Come on. Okay, see if I can't get this other corner. Yeah, I'm losing most of that purple. I was afraid of that. Come on. Back to the center. This is so pretty though. This is really turning out beautiful. Let's see. A little bit more over here. go. Tiny bit more over here. Let me bring that back a little bit. I like this. I really like this. I wish it hadn't distorted so much, but you know, some of that is unavoidable. If a part of it goes off the edge, there's not much you can do. Trying to bring it back to the center. A little bit off the edge over here. That a little bit. Okay. All right. And bring it back this way just a little bit. Okay. Am I satisfied with that? I think so. That's so pretty. Wow. That ended up so much better than I expected. So much better. So I can get some of this paint off me so I don't drip. If I didn't enjoy the feeling of paint on my hands, I'd wear gloves all the time, but I enjoy it. Okay. Before I do the little ones, I kind of like to bring you around for a close-up. You know, for that reason alone, I probably ought to wear gloves. Because I do get paint on my phone case. But hey, I'm a painter, so it's supposed to show, right? Watch out, little girl. Just trying to get in the way. All right, let me bring this down for the close-up. There she goes. All righty. Trying to avoid glare on this. Those beautiful rings, a little bit, you know, I'm going to back this up and zoom in. There we go. That's better. That's better. These layers. See, there's a little bit of that purple there, just a little bit, but for the most part, like there's a little bit right there too. Oh, there's some more of it. Okay, yeah. It seems to have hidden underneath a lot of the other colors. There's a little bit of browning. I thought there might be, but it's not bad. It's really not. Back over here. This is really pretty. I ended up, I love this so much better than I ever thought I would. So yeah. All right, zoom back out. And I'll do it. See if I can't get a top down without my shadow in it. Yeah, that's pretty. It's very pretty. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so I'm gonna put the phone back, get my drips, and then do the little canvases. Watch out, little girl. She likes to get in my way. All right. Tighten that up so it doesn't fall. There we go. Okay. So, always got to catch your drips. I find painting so soothing. Get that kind of, oh, that's kind of cool. I don't know if you can see that up here, but that's a really cool design up there. Really pretty. But that's not gonna get saved. Oh well. I like to sometimes use, just kind of use the push pins themselves to get leverage. Oops. Too much leverage, that one. Go. Today has been a rainy day. It rained last night. We had a very gentle rain this morning. And then this afternoon, well, I mean, yesterday we had some thunder, but it's not like it poured, just rained. We had a mild thunderstorm. And then this afternoon, it was just rain, but man, it poured really heavy. I had to go out in it too, but thankfully I have a good umbrella and I did not get soaked. I will be catching my drips one more time before I put this, before I set it in the oven to dry. No, I do not turn on the oven. I just set it there to keep it away from the cats because I live in an apartment that doesn't have a really good space other than that for drying paintings. So you got to take what you get. But anyways, before I put it in the oven, I will be doing my drips one more time. But that's enough for the moment. No, little girl. No, 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 no. You wouldn't like this anyway. Your paws would get all wet. Trust me, you wouldn't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside over here. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and set this in the oven for the moment, and I'll bring it back later. And I will catch my drips again before it goes away. But I want it out of the way because that looks like it was tilted a little bit, and I don't want that paint to fall off. I mean, the last thing I want is for my gorgeous painting to leave before it even dries. So, all right, so this is gonna be fun. Just gonna grab a bunch of these little swirls. I just realized before I do that, I have to have things to set this on. So I'm gonna set up on this little tray I've got in here. I've got just some little plastic containers from Dollar Tree, and I just set those on here with the lid on, preferably. There's 4 little paintings, 4 little canvases, so I'm gonna set out 4 of them and see if I can do all 4 or how many I get. We'll see. Okay. Now I have a place to set each one. That's very important. In fact, I'm gonna stagger these. There we go. So staggering them so that they don't touch each. Minx, get down. Get down. Good girl. Thank you. You gotta praise her. I like to say my cats are royalty. They are prince and princess. I'm the queen, so I am still in charge. All right. So I'm gonna pour this on. Try to do mostly let's do like a little swirl, kind of, and then bring it out here. Grab some more for the corners. There we go. Definitely need some more before I tilt it. All right. Miniatures. Trying to keep this little center piece kind of in the middle. This is kind of fun working with a little bitty canvas. Off the edge, bring it back. I think it's going to be a little bit harder to get the edges. Smear it a little bit on those dry spots, and then bring it back. I kind of like that. I think that's pretty. This I didn't really get it much. Okay. Come back to the middle. There we go. Yeah, I especially like how there's some of that reddish up there. So it's mostly orange, but there's some yellow from the Chartreuse, and there's some of that reddish up there. I think the blue got buried. That's all right. There's one. Okay. Now I have an octagon. That was close. I almost got it on the edge there. I'm just pouring straight into the middle to get more of almost a split cup effect. Less of a tree ring pour. It's kind of challenging to pour into the same exact spot. From a pie server. That's pretty. Okay. Oh, that's really cute. Smudge a little bit to make it flow more easily, especially on these corners, before I do the rest. There we go. That's pretty. Bring it back to the middle. I really like that one. That is so cute. I like that. All right, I know I can do at least one more, maybe two. Maybe two. Next I'll do the heart. You know what? I'm just gonna use the paint that's on my hands to kind of cover the sides. Why not use what I currently have instead of wasting all these awkward little folds in the canvas because of the shape. I don't think I've ever seen a heart-shaped canvas before. Thank goodness my class ring washes off easily. It's titanium. My parents were like, so what metal do you want? And I'm like, okay, number one, I know you can't afford the greatest thing in the world. You know, gold is expensive. Silver and gold are both way too malleable. Give me titanium, it'll last. It's cheaper anyway. And they were fine with that, so it worked. Ooh, getting a lot of drops. Now doing a heart is always a little bit challenging because some is going to run off through this gap here before it goes off the other parts. So, and I know that from doing a wooden heart, but it'll still be good. I think I'm going to do tree ring for the first part, and then I'm going to do just straight now. Get kind of a mixed method here. The lines are so fine because the paint has already been mixed, but that's really cute. And of course things stretch. Yep, there it goes right off there, just like I said. First thing. I think the gold and chartreuse and the reddish color, magenta, whatever, kind of blended to create this really interesting brownish orange. Okay, I want you to go over here. Yeah, I knew that would be an issue. That's okay. It's okay. This is all for fun. It's all for fun. Oh, not too far, not too far. Back to the middle. That's really pretty. I like that. I'm going to get a little bit more down here off the point. There we go. There we go. Bring that back to the middle. Yeah, that's really pretty. It almost looks like a piece of wood. I like that. All right. 3 down. I can do 1 more. I've got enough. And I'll just do the same thing because that worked really, really well. Put the paint on my fingers to good use. One of my early blow dryer paintings that before I knew that you had to thin the paint this much, I really didn't know what I was doing back then, but I ended up smudging a canvas with paint kind of like this as the background, and then on top of that I did a flower, and it was not my greatest, but one of my neighbors, she loved it so much she bought it. And I was like, what? She paid me 20 bucks for that? And I had no clue what I was doing. I really had no idea what I was doing at that point. And she thought it was beautiful. So, just goes to show, it don't have to be perfect. It does not have to be perfect to be beautiful. I think we're going to do a little something tiny bit different on this one. Okay, first of all, get some of that excess off. That's loud. That almost hurt my ears. Okay, let me get some of this. Bring that into the middle. All that beautiful color. Because a lot of the rest is just looking orange now. So bring this beautiful color in. Okay. And then, where's my chopstick? And which way do you want? Let me cover it a little bit first, just a little bit. Oop, not too much. There we go. Okay. All right. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Why not 4? Okay. There we go. Oh, that's pretty. And then bring that over the sides. it really does help to kind of prep the sides a little bit like that. Come on, there we go. I like that. That's really pretty. Look at that. I ended up getting a whole bunch of paintings out of one because I have these tiny little canvases. They are so cute. They really are cute. Those are going to make some really pretty gifts. I could almost make this kind of like, you know, a diptych. Is a diptych only 2? I don't know. What do you call it if it's, you know, 4 panels? Multi-titch? I don't know. But there we go. There they are. And I need to do my drips on all of them. So, and then I gotta take photos. And then I gotta clean up. It's all fun. This is all fun. This is all good. All right. Thank you so much for coming along this ride with me. Thank you for helping, you know, coming along to witness my discovery that Chartreuse with other colors can make something beautiful. I knew it would. I knew it would. I just didn't know that it was going to look so damn pretty. So, all right. You know, tell you, let me bring you around. I'm going to give you a little close-up of the little ones. Let me get my camera off of here. There we go. It almost looks like cookies baking. Oh, there's glare. Okay. You know what? I'm going to do the same trick. Just zoom in. So there's the triangle. I really like this. This is just cute. And just also remember that the lighting, for some reason, with my camera, makes everything looks a lot redder or oranger, warmer colors than they actually are. They're a little bit duller. The yellow is a lot brighter. The chartreuse, I should say, that looks like yellow is a lot brighter. That's cute. I like that little dot in the middle, right up there. I like that little dot. That's cute. I love the swirls on this. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, those colors are bright. Look at that blue right there. Shining through purple, I guess. It looks blue right now, but that's pretty. That's pretty. All right. Thank you so much for coming along the ride with me. And I will see you next time. Stay creative.